In this video, I will set up my new bullet journal. For the first time, I chose a B5 sized bullet journal from Dingbats. The reason why I chose Dingbats is because it is a sort of eco-friendly, sustainable notebook, an idea which I liked. And I also really loved this design with the bee and especially the bee wing pattern inside. The notebook has a few pros, such as the fact that it's vegan, that the paper is acid-free, and it is made from FSC mixed certified paper. On this WWF stamp, you can see that Dingbats donates 2% of its revenue to WWF, however, only in the UK, so my notebook did not contribute to this, unfortunately. In the back there is a pocket, and what I like the most is the cover, which is rough black linen, very textured, with this little bee stamp in gold foil. On the side there is a pen loop, and then there are two bookmarks, which is pretty standard, one in black and one in gold. The paper is 160 GSM paper, so pretty sturdy, but it lays flat. So before we get into the setup of this beautiful new journal, leave a like to help fight the algorithm. Thank you for your support. For some reason, the first two pages in the front of a notebook are always sort of difficult to separate, inseparable. And I always find that kind of annoying, so I tend to decide to just glue them together. My first double spread in each new notebook traditionally is a dashboard and pocket spread. What I never do is a title page for the entire year of 2023 or something like that. That doesn't have any use, and I sort of already know what year I'm using the notebook in. So what I do instead is that I have one page that I cover just with pretty paper, and this is supposed to be my dashboard, so I can stick notes, lists, things that I might need to know, like ID numbers and private medical information, for example, or anything like that on here. And then on the right side, I glued down a pocket for all sorts of paper scraps, bills, tickets, anything that I might need to carry with me for a limited period of time. Besides the sunflower paper, I chose this beautiful sunflower sticker sheet from Bujo, and the paper, by the way, is from Album Love Handmade on Instagram. These are both patron rewards. For the pocket, I decided to go for some crafty paper, and I decorated it a bit with some washi, stamping, and so on, before gluing it down. For the stickers that stuck out a bit from the surface of the pocket, I just covered them with washi tape on the back so that they're not sticky. All in all, I wasn't super happy with this spread. I thought it was kind of simple. I did like the way the pocket came out, but something here was missing. However, I didn't really know what, so I just left it as it is and moved on. I know I can just come back anytime to add some more to this page. Honestly, when I started working on this setup, I had no idea how exactly I would decorate the pages. I only knew which types of pages, of layouts I wanted to do. So you see me making things up as I go along, basically. What I did first for this future log was to create something like a little Dutch door, because I will not fit 2 months on just one double spread, but I will need two. So what I like to do is to create a Dutch door and have one header for both double spreads. In preparation for this video, I made these little circular calendars in Procreate and just printed them out on sticker paper, and I used my plotter machine to cut them out. So these could be used for any year because they only have the dates on it, but not the weekdays. And I use them as a birthday calendar, actually. So I put them down for each month, and then circular around the calendar, I will write down the names of the people whose birthday it is, and then I would connect their name with the respective birth date. Even though this video is being published in December 2022, I actually already set up this new bullet journal a few months ago and I already migrated into it because I like to use my bullet journals always for a year, but from September to August. First of all, I didn't really have time to edit the video, and second of all, this is the season where everyone looks for inspiration for their new bullet journals because typically people move into new bullet journals with the new year. So I thought, why not publish it now? It's definitely still worth it, and I hope you will find this video inspiring. Rounded corners always look a bit nicer, don't they? Especially since the notebook has rounded corners, the little Dutch door flap also absolutely needed rounded corners as well. Since I started this journal in September, of course the future log had to start not with January but with September, and then I just fit 3 months on each side. I just like to start a new journal with the new academic year. That makes sort of more sense to the sort of lifestyle, I guess. The second part of the header, unfortunately, came out a bit too short, so I had to use some magic to fix that issue. And then I added some of these beautiful academia stickers from Bujo and from Planning with K, 2 of my favorite sticker artists. I found it very funny that there was this sticker of those glasses on Bujo's sticker sheet because they actually look quite exactly like my own glasses here that I got pretty new this year. Now, I didn't use a ton of stickers, just a few here and there, because I do need actually a lot of room to fill up both the birthday calendars on the side and the future log. I always tend to run out of space here, and that is also one of the reasons why I decided to go for a larger B5 notebook, just to give myself a little bit more room for everything. This is my future log. I am quite happy with it. Next up is a fitness log. This is a double spread where I track my fitness. Of course, tracking things also always means that I have goals that I'm trying to achieve. So when I say fitness, I mean my workouts, or just, doesn't have to be workout, just moving, like being on a hike, having taken a walk, dancing. I like to do salsa dancing, yoga, things like that. I just want to write them down here because it motivates me to do them if I can write things down, and I also want to see how much I did and also have some reference to look at to make sure that I move enough. With our modern lifestyle, it is always a bit of a challenge, isn't it? Basically, what I did is I created a table for all the months of the year, starting with September, and then for each month there is day 1 to 30 or 31 on this little calendar strip, and I will just fill in what type of activity, body movement, workout I did that day. And hopefully this will get pretty busy. So 6 months on the left side and another 6 months are going to be on the right hand side to complete a full year. And then in the center, I drew out a little, what's the word? I just had it and then it slipped my mind. A little graph. Yes, thank you. This is a little graph. Well, it is not one yet, but it's going to become one over the course of the year, hopefully, because I will fill this in with my weight development. This is the top part of the graph in lbs, so in pounds. And then on the bottom half, I measure around my belly button, basically, in centimeters. Because my goal is not a certain weight necessarily, but a certain fitness and well-being. There will be 2 points of measurements for each month, starting again with September, then October, November, December, and so on. These headers of the month and windows of the world stickers are from Planning with K. The next spread is also part of this whole body and health theme, and it is going to be my period tracker, which is not just to track my period, but my entire female cycle. However, if you want to see me set up this spread, stay tuned for an extra video where I show my last year's cycle tracker spread that I have already filled in with all the information and learnings that I had throughout the year, and where I show how I used these learnings to set up this new female cycle spread. The whole topic of cycle tracking is very interesting, and I just wanted to share what I'm trying to do here a bit more in depth, because I sort of wished that other people would make these videos and share their experiences and how they track their cycles. I would really like to watch that type of content, so I just thought, okay, let me produce this content and make this into an extra video. The next spread is the last one of my entire body and health theme. It is a health log or a doctor's log, or however you want to call it. I called it health log because it sounds more positive. And here I just have little charts for all of the different types of doctors I typically see. So there is doctors, that means any sort of doctor that I might see, like an orthopedic or whatever. Actually, last year I saw an orthopedic quite some time. I saw a rheumatologist even, or a physical therapist, all these things. I just put them under one general doctor's category. Then, of course, the dentist, the most unpleasant one. Then there is gynecology, of course, where I go every year, and the primary doctor. Of course, there's some notes, some medical notes that I might need, things that, that sort of things that doctors always ask, like when did you start this medication, or that I will never know, so I have to write it down, so that I can pull my wise notebook up during the appointment and just say, yeah, I know exactly when I started this medication, or I know exactly when I had this and that symptom, or I know exactly when the first day of my last cycle was, because without the notebook I would be totally screwed. Alright, so I made these little charts, and then I had the brilliant idea to cover sort of the background of this chart with this gold foil washi tape, so that it looks as if there was a board in gold foil and there were these like little notes, like sticky notes glued onto it. And I thought this was a brilliant idea, and that it would not be a lot of work to set up, and that I didn't have to think of too much, how I would decorate everything. And it ended up being the spread that took me the longest to set up. I used an X-Acto knife to cut out the shapes, and this is honestly one of the reasons why I wanted to try a 160 GSM notebook for once. I decided to bring in this gold foil washi tape to achieve some sort of cohesiveness. I thought it was a good fit because the whole theme of the notebook with the gold foil B on the front was sort of golden, which is kind of untypical for me, but should always be open for new things. Another point of cohesiveness is the header. I tried to keep all the headers for this entire setup in the same font. So this is actually the first time that I use a bullet journal with 160 GSM. In the past, I've always used a standard 80 GSM Leuchtturm notebook with 250 pages, more or less. I was quite happy with the 80 GSM paper. I even did watercolor in there and everything, and of course it's not like perfect watercolor paper, but it still held up, But of course, I wanted to try out the 160 GSM to see what else I could do, what more I can put on the page. The downside, however, is that the notebook has way less pages. So far, I have managed to use one notebook for exactly 1 year. I don't know yet when I will run out of pages. Hopefully it's just going to be a month or two, and I will just DIY a little something, like a flip book or whatever, to put it in the back. I sort of hope that the B5 size helps me a bit use less pages. To create this black board feeling a bit more, or gold foil board feeling, I use these clip stickers from Bujo, and then I also added some additional decoration, also from a Bujo patron reward, so that the page doesn't look so plain. Still, you see there's a lot of room to write in, because it has to be enough for a whole year. Oh yeah, And I nearly forgot, I of course also need a little vision corner because without my glasses, I am as blind as a mole, and I'm always interested in how my eyes are developing, so I kind of just put in the values of my glasses in there and see how it develops over time. The next spread is sort of a miscellaneous one where I have all sorts of numbers and little lists and everything crammed together in one double spread, so I called it Collections and Numbers. Again, I used some stickers, this time desert stickers from Bujo for some decoration here. All spreads in the setup look a bit different, but I tried to have a common feel to them with the same font for the headers and gold foil. And on the number side, I have a social media tracker for my Bujo YouTube channel as well as Instagram channel. If you're interested, I post a lot on Instagram. You can find my Instagram handle down below in the description box. I used little monthly header stickers from Planning with K. And on the left there is a little Instagram sign, so on the gray spots I will just note down the number of my followings on the first of each month, and then on the right under the black headers I will note the YouTube subscription numbers. Some more desert stickers for the prettiness, of course. And then on the left, I assembled a bunch of different collections that have proven to be very useful in my previous journals, but that don't need a whole spread for themselves. For example, I used to have a whole When Did I Last spread in one of my past bullet journals, and I did use it, but I didn't use an entire spread, right? So now I just have this little section, and this will be perfectly sufficient for this year. So for example, I will write in there when I opened my contact lenses, because they're only good for 6 months, and you know, after that I should get new ones, but I always forget, of course, when I open them. And then a little corner for recommendations, like book recommendations that I got, or movie recommendations, music, restaurants, activities, you name it. And then of course a wish list, because around Christmas time or a few weeks before my birthday, people will come up to me and ask me what I'm wishing for, and I actually like that, because if I receive gifts, I like to receive gifts that are actually useful to me and not, and not clutter. And then of course gift ideas, which is also very useful, because whenever you need them, of course they don't come to mind. So whenever something pops up in my head, whenever there is an idea or I saw something in a store that reminded me of someone, I'm just gonna write it down here. Or most importantly, if a friend or so mentions something in a conversation that they would like to have this, or they're interested in something, I can note it here and then refer to it whenever I need it. This brings us to the last spread of the setup, which is a time machine. But because I didn't like the word machine, I wrote time travel. The alliteration is nicer. And it's basically just a year in pictures, right? So I decided to use some washi tapes. Here you can see my washi tape book, which is how I store the washi tapes, so that I can have a look at all of them when I want to craft something. By the way, there is a video of how I created this washi book, and it is linked for you in the description box below. So I use these washi tapes to create frames, 12 frames, and then for each month I will glue in one picture on top of this frame, but such that you can still see the washi tape. And of course, the theme of the washi tape, well, I chose it such that I think it fits well to the season. And these frames I hung onto a little twine here. I want to take a quick second to talk about this notebook again by Dingbutts and the environmental aspect of it. It says that the paper is recyclable, or the entire notebook, which is great, But you know, in the end, even recyclables in our society mostly don't get recycled. Recycling is just an illusion. So I would really appreciate a notebook made from recycling paper. That would be amazing. And yes, the paper is acid free, which is amazing because there is a lot of chemicals used. Also the bleaching of the paper and the production of the paper. There's also a lot of water used in the production of the paper. And I mean, the water problem still is true for this notebook, but at least it's acid free, so that is great. And it says that the paper is sourced from FSC mixed forests. So FSC is a certificate, it's an official label that says that these are sustainably farmed forests, I want to say. I think it's for Europe, I don't know if it's worldwide. However, when it says FSC mix, like for this notebook, it means that only part of it is sourced from these sustainable woods. So that means that I actually cannot know how much percent of the sustainable resources is inside this paper. It could be, you know, it could be 90% or it could be just 5%. I cannot know because it says FSC mix. And I think that is actually quite weak, and I'm a bit disappointed by that. Because Dingbats is known to be a, you know, an environmentally friendly brand, and I really like that idea, you know, but I'm still looking for a notebook that adheres to better standards of eco-friendliness and sustainability, and that at the same time I like the look of. So, and that it's also great if it's like sort of affordable, but yeah. You know, I don't even need apple paper or grass paper or anything. Recycling paper is amazing already. What is great is that this notebook is vegan. That means, you know, that the glue is not sourced from some sort of fish or other animal bones or whatever material. So that is great, and I really appreciate that because that matters to me too. Alright, so this is the flip through of my new journal setup. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments if you found some inspiration here, if you have suggestions, how I could improve my spreads and layouts. And of course, any tips for eco-friendly, sustainable notebooks or stationery in general is much appreciated. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I wish you all a good start into the new year and your new journals.